Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to look at calculated fields in Excel for a pivot table, and we will see how we can use this feature to calculate profits. So this is the pivot table example which I will be working on. So here I have the genre, and here I have the B column. I have the total gross revenue, and what I will do now is I will add one more column here for budget. Right, and let us name this sum of budget to total budget. Right. Now my criteria here is to I want to know the profit of my movies under each genre, right? So how we calculate the profit? We simply uh, subtract our gross revenue with the total budget, right, to get the profit. So to know the profit of our of the genres, there are two methods to calculate the profit, right? So the first method is using your raw data. So this is the raw data which I used to create this pivot table, right? So the first method is to add a new column here. So, so the new column will be profit, and so what I will do, I will simply write the formula here. What is the formula? I need to subtract the gross revenue with the budget to get the profit, right? So simply I will select this minus sign and select this budget and press enter. And now we got our profit here, right? So this is one way. And now let us go to the pivot table and add the check the total profit option, and here we will get the total profit here, right? So this is one way of doing, right? So but the the main problem of doing this method is, so whenever you are adding any new column to your source data, so the size of your workbook will increase, and in future, I mean, whenever you add few more columns here, the data will be getting delayed. I mean, the loading will be very slow, right? Because if the workbook size increases, then your data will also get uh, loaded very slow. And the next thing is, if your source data is confidential, and if you don't have any edit permissions to add any other column, then you won't be able to use this method, right? So that is the reason we basically avoid doing using this method. So instead, what we can do is, so let me undo this. So instead of using this method, there is another method called calculated field, right? So there is a feature in Excel called calculated field. So using that calculated field, we will be calculating our profit inside the pivot table only. We won't use our source data for any calculation purpose. We will be calculating the profit inside our pivot table, right? So let us see how we can do that. Once you are inside the pivot table, now head over to the pivot table analyze tab, right? So once you are in the pivot table, you will be able to see this pivot table analyze option. So click on that, and in the pivot table analyze option, you will find a section called calculations. So in this calculation sections, click on field items and sets. So under field items and sets, you will find calculated field. So click on that, and once you click on that calculated fields, you will be able to insert a calculated field. So here we will be inserting another column here, which is a calculated field for total profits, right? So now we want to calculate the profit by subtracting total gross revenue minus total budget. Now, now let us rename this our calculated field. So what do we rename it? So we will rename it as total profit, because that is what we are calculating now, right? So now in the formula section, now to calculate the formula, we can't do any cell referencing. now, because if I try to click on the pivot table, I won't be able to do any cell differencing because that is not possible. So instead what we can do is, so below here you can see the fields, right? We have all the fields that are there that can be used in the pivot table. So if you scroll down, you will be able to see the gross revenue and budget. So now to calculate the profit, we have to subtract our gross revenue minus total budget, right? So select the gross revenue and click on insert field. So the gross revenue field will be inserted. Now enter the subtraction symbol, that is minus, and then click on budget and once again click on insert field. Now our formula is completed. Now the next step is to add the field into our pivot table fields. So so observe what happens to the fields here. So when I click on add, we will see a new field setting here with the name of total profit. So click on add, and here you can see the total profit field has been added. And now click on OK. Now you can see the field is automatically got selected. Now here you can see we got our total profit field inside our pivot table, right? So and now that we got our profit values, so to make sure these profit values are exactly matching and are correct, so what we can do is we can manually check if these profit values are correct or wrong. So simply uh, subtract gross revenue minus the total budget and click on enter. And now you can see the values are absolutely matching, right? So the values are genuine. Now that we got the confirmation that the total profit values are correct. Now, if you head over to your source data, you won't see any field here, any extra column here, because that is the advantage of using the calculated field option. So using the calculated field, you can you can do any calculations inside your pivot table without disturbing your raw data, right? So that is the benefit of using the calculated field option, right? So this is how you can use the calculated field in Excel inside the pivot table. So I hope you understood this feature called calculated field. So if you have any queries regarding this calculated field, then drop your comments. I will answer them. And if you find the Excel videos to be informative and useful to you, then please consider subscribing to my channel so that I can make much more interesting videos on Excel. Thank you.